The Powershot G9X Mark II is a stylish, compact camera that doesn't compromise on image quality. In this video, I'm going to take a look at some of the features to really help you get the most out of this stylish little camera. So let's get started. One of the first things you'll notice about this camera is its compact size and the huge screen on the back. It also has a few built-in buttons and dials, so let's talk through what they all do now. On the top, you have the main mode dial. So here we can quickly change from shooting in movie mode to shooting in scene. The camera has a selection of preset scene modes. Auto is just turn it on and start shooting. A really simple way to get you going with your new little camera. Intelligent auto is just that little bit smarter and will actually take a look at what you're pointing the camera towards. For example, if you point the camera towards a person, with the face detection built into the camera, it will identify that it needs to be in portrait mode. If you point it towards a landscape, for example, it will automatically change into landscape mode. So that's a really intelligent little mode to use. Moving on from that, we have P, which stands for program mode. This will take the technology in the camera a little bit further. It uses the camera's built-in light meter to automatically detect the best shutter speed and aperture for the ambient light. TV mode controls our shutter speed. I'm going to do a little experiment with that later so I can show you the difference between shooting with a fast shutter speed and a slow shutter speed. AV mode controls our aperture, which in turn affects the depth of field. And again, I'm going to do a little experiment to show you the difference between those as well. And M stands for manual, where you have full control over both the shutter speed, the aperture, and the ISO. The G9X Mark II also has the C mode built into this dial. C is a custom mode where we can program in our favorite shooting settings. For example, if you are always shooting with a set aperture and shutter speed, you can actually program that into the C mode. When you move the mode dial around to C, your favorite settings are programmed, set, and ready to go. Next to the main mode dial, you have the shutter button here. You need to half press it to focus and fully press it down to take the shot. Around the shutter button, you have the zoom lever. So as we pull that from right to left, you'll notice the zoom is moving in and out. Next to the shutter button, we have the main on-off switch. So you'll notice when you turn that off, the lens automatically retracts into the camera. When we turn the camera back on, it pops out again. Next to the on-off button, you'll notice these three little dots here. That's the built-in speaker for the camera. It also has a stereo microphone as well, which is really helpful when you're in movie mode. Next to that, we have the playback button. So this is the button that you need to press to review your images. And the last one on the side here is the flash. So to pop the flash up, we simply move this dial to the left-hand side. And to put the flash away, just pop it back down. On the back of the camera, you'll notice a couple of buttons on the right-hand side of the screen. The top one with the little red circle is your movie mode. So when we press that button there, you'll notice the little red circle appear on your LCD screen. That's letting you know that you're in the process of recording a movie. To stop the video recording, simply press this little red button again. Below the movie mode, you also have the Q button, which is also the set button. When I press the Q, you can see the menu pop up on either side of my LCD screen, and it's a really neat way to quickly navigate around those menu settings. When you need to set one of these, press the same button again for set, and that's how you lock that feature in. Below the Q button, we have the menu. This will allow you full access into the camera's shooting menu, setup menu, and also the My menu, which will allow you to customize the features that you see in the menu tab. The last button on the back of the camera is Info. As we press this Info button, it will toggle through the variety of different information screens that you can see on the back of the camera. It's also really handy if you're wanting to view the histogram or the electronic level that's available on your screen. Simply press the Info button until you see the level and the histogram appear on the back of the screen. It also brings up the guidelines, which is very helpful for you to make sure that your horizons and your lines are nice and level. Another really great feature about this little camera is how intelligent the touch LCD screen is. Not only can you use it to quickly navigate around the built-in camera settings, but you can also use it to take a picture as well, simply by tapping the back of the screen. On the G9X Mark II, you'll notice on the front of the camera you have this control lens ring. This can be programmed to do a variety of different things within the menu. Depending on what mode you're in, this could control your shutter speed, your aperture, your zoom, your ISO. You can customize it to do a variety of different things. Let's take a quick look now at the side of the camera. On the right-hand side, you'll notice you have two ports here. One is for the USB and the other is for the HDMI cables. On the left-hand side of the camera, you'll have your Wi-Fi connection button. When we press this Wi-Fi button on the left-hand side, it's a really quick and easy way for you to send photos from your camera to your mobile device. Make sure you check out the video embedded in this link here for more information on how to do that. On the bottom of the camera, you'll notice three things here. The first is the little NFC symbol, so another means of wireless connection located on the bottom of the camera. In the middle, you have the universal tripod mount, so you can connect this little camera onto your tripod. And lastly, you have the card and battery slot on the right-hand side. To open the card and battery slot, simply move that little switch to the left and it will automatically pop open. Okay, so what is AV mode? Let me show you with this quick little example. First of all, you need to set your camera into AV mode on the top mode dial. And then I'm going to use this lens ring here to select the lowest possible aperture number. When you select a low aperture number, you're telling the camera that you want to have a shallow depth of field, which is focusing just on the foreground, so the background could be nice, soft and blurry. So by setting a low aperture number on our camera, I'm going to focus on the first item here and take the shot. You'll notice at the lower apertures, the first item is in focus, where the last item is starting to become soft. If we do that same experiment, but we select a larger aperture number, for example f11, I'm going to increase the amount of focus and depth of field throughout my shot, which means that both my foreground and my background will be in focus. That would be ideal for landscapes. So you can see there, simply by changing your aperture, you can control the depth of field to really change your images. Whether you're shooting portraits or landscapes, it's quite simple to get a really creative image just by changing your aperture. So the next experiment we're going to do is controlling our shutter speed. We need to do this in TV mode. So the first step is going to be changing your mode dial on the top of the camera around to TV. And we're going to use the front ring on the lens to program in a very fast shutter speed. Okay, I've set my camera into TV mode and I've used this lens ring here to change my shutter speed to 1/800th of a second. Now I'm going to introduce a little bit of motion and see how fast that shutter speed will freeze the action. That fast shutter speed would be perfect if you're photographing anything with a fast moving subject, sports for example, even children, anything that's moving very, very fast, you need to have a fast shutter speed. 1/800th of a second will help you to freeze the action. If I wanted to really capture more of that motion blur, I'd need to have a slower shutter speed. So what I'm going to do now is to set the camera down to 1/30th of a second and see how much of that motion I can actually capture in the shot. This would be ideal if you're photographing something like a waterfall or perhaps some moving water coming along the rocks. That would be nice to have that really dreamy effect. Again, we introduce that movement. You can see with these two examples here, one has really frozen the action, whereas the other has captured that movement and motion throughout the scene. When we press the Q button here, we can access things like the AF mode and the AF method. Let me explain one of the AF methods that we have available to us in this camera. The first one we have is AF tracking, which is perfect if you have a person or a face in the shot that you need to make sure remains sharp throughout the scene. The second one is a single shot. So that's going to use the single point for your autofocus. The next option we have is the AF operation. Now, this is a really quick and easy way for you to help your camera focus on your subject faster. You need to make one of two decisions: whether you shoot in one shot, which is ideal for stationary subjects, things that don't move, or you can shoot on servo mode, which is ideal for a fast moving subject. This is going to help your camera to track your subject as it moves throughout your frame. If you do have a moving subject that's continuously moving through your frame, you might also want to shoot on continuous mode. By selecting this feature here, rather than shooting one frame at a time, you can select high-speed continuous shooting. What that means is when you hold your finger down on the shutter, it will continually take photos until you release your finger again. This is perfect for high speeds and sports modes. Another really great feature that you have built into this camera is the picture styles. Picture styles is a great way for you to customize the look and feel of each image before you take the photo. To activate the picture styles, just come down to this menu here and simply select one of the preset options. Some of the preset picture styles available to you are suitable for portraits or monochrome or even landscape. In landscape mode, it will help to accentuate the contrast in the image, whereas in monochrome, it will set your camera to shoot in black and white. Not only can you select to shoot in monochrome, but you can also edit that further in camera. Simply by pressing this info button here, I now have another menu available for me to customize. I have options to increase the sharpness, the contrast, even the filter effects on that black and white image. So the possibilities are really endless. Picture styles are great for changing the look and feel before you take the photo. But what if you've taken a great image that you want to apply a filter to afterwards? You can do that in the playback menu. So here's a shot that I've already taken. I simply press this Q button here, and I'm going to navigate down to the creative filters. From here, I can select one of the filters available preset in the camera, like soft focus, toy camera, maybe art bold, and I'll press set to fine tune those adjustments. When you're ready to save it, simply press the set button and it will save a new file with that creative filter applied to your image. All right, we've taken you through quite a lot of different features of this camera, but if you've changed a bunch of different things and you're not too sure what to do, you can also reset the camera back to its factory settings. So let me show you how to do that now. Simply press the menu button and you need to navigate across into the yellow setup menu. On the last page of the yellow menu, on page 5, down the bottom, you'll see reset camera. When we select to reset the camera, this is just a really quick way for you to reset all of the settings back to when it was taken out of the box. On the back of the camera, you'll notice that you have this option here to select to shoot in JPEG or RAW. You can change the file size on the back of the camera to shoot from a very small JPEG up to a fully uncompressed RAW file. Now, if you're deciding between the two, a JPEG is really great for utilizing some of those built-in filter effects, picture styles, and white balance that we spoke about. All of those would be saved onto a JPEG. If you're wanting to utilize your full potential and resolution out of the shot, then you're best to shoot in RAW. When shooting in RAW, you have a completely uncompressed file, which is ideal for post-production. I hope this video has helped you get to know your Canon Powershot G9X Mark II a little bit better.